Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell. You'll get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And when I'm not asking Bruce, hey, how big was Batista's? Well, you know. One of the things I like to do is help people save money. And if you're watching this video right now and you're in a 30-year loan, man, you're overpaying your single biggest bill and you may not even realize it. I want you to do a little experiment for me. Take your calculator out, multiply your monthly house payment by 360 payments. That's how many payments there are in a 30-year loan. That big scary number, that's your total of payments. You're looking at that number? You know you can do better. Keep more of your own money right now and go to savewithconrad.com. Or maybe you've got credit card debt. Man, it's not a matter of if I can save you money with that. Your average interest rate on a credit card is more than 20%. And by the way, all the interest you pay on those credit cards, it's not tax deductible. Whereas the mortgage interest, well, that is tax deductible. So if you owe this debt, it's up to you how to pay it back. Doesn't it make sense to get the cheapest rate possible and the greatest tax deduction possible? Find out how much money you can save right now for free at savewithconrad.com. You don't need perfect credit. Even scores in the 500s can be approved, and it's no cost out of pocket. But maybe best of all, we're licensed in more than 40 states. We can help more families than ever before. But how much can we save you? Find out right now for free with a quick quote from savewithconrad.com.
Hey, this is Kurt Angle. Welcome to the Kurt Angle Show. On the show today, we'll be discussing the first time I won the tag team titles. But first, let me introduce to you my co-host, Paul Bromwell. How you doing today, Big Paul?
I'm good, Kurt. We were having a lot of fun before we signed in, so we're a little giddy today. And we got a fun topic. We're going to jump into No Mercy 2002, 20 years ago. But before we get into it, man, you and I have been talking, and you and I are going to be in the same spot Sunday as this drops. You are going to be at Acrisure Stadium. You're going to be waving this terrible towel as I wave it right now. Talk to us about what you're doing there, right?
Well, it's Steelers Cancer Awareness Day, and they invited me down to lead the terrible towel twirl due to cancer awareness. And I'm going to be down on the field waving the terrible towel in front of 75,000 screaming Steeler fans. I'm going to have a blast, I'll tell you that, and you will too, Paul. You'll be there.
That's right. Yep. My son and I are going to make the journey. We thought, hey, it's cool to see Kenny Pickett's home debut as a starter. The first time they'll introduce him as that. And Tom Brady, many who consider the GOAT of all time, the legend, his last time probably most likely in Pittsburgh playing. And to be able to see him, I've never seen him play before in person, so that'll be a treat. So
no, I haven't either. It should be pretty exciting. Tom is still on top of his game. It's incredible.
45 years old. He and I exact same age, born 1977. It's just crazy to think he's playing at such a high level. So I'll get to see you. Giovanna will be there, I'm guessing, too. So get to meet her for the first time. So I'm looking forward to it, Kurt.
Me too, Paul. Can't wait.
All right. Now, listen, we're also not naive. Steelers are having a shitty season, so we'll see what happens, but it should be a fun experience. And, Kurt, it'll be fun to see you out there leading the crowd. I'm sure it's going to be red hot for that. But let's jump into it, man. Let's get into what we're really here to talk about, and that is No Mercy 2002. We covered you and Benoit's match against each other at Unforgiven 2002 last month. And on the Smackdown after that show in San Diego, we got you versus Benoit versus Mysterio in a really awesome triple threat match in the main event. Before I read the notes from The Observer on that match, we did get a lot of really good reviews on that show with you and Benoit at Unforgiven 2002, by the way. If you haven't checked that out, listen to it in the archives. Because I was, quite frankly, very surprised at all the positive comments and feedback and happy to see all the feedback that we got on that show, dude.
I was too, Paul. I couldn't believe it. I was really happy about that because the last thing I wanted to do is erase Chris Benoit from my career, let alone his career. I mean, my best matches were with Chris. So you erase him, you erase me.
That's true. I mean, that's part of your legacy. And so I think we did that in a very respectful manner, especially realizing what happened, outside of his actual wrestling matches and career as far as everything. And we know what happened there, but I can't wait to talk about today. So let's pick it up here. It's you versus Benoit versus Rey Mysterio, this triple threat main event match. And Dave chimes in from The Observer. Here we go. The main event was a three-way with Mysterio over Benoit and Angle when he pinned Benoit with the West Coast pop. Benoit versus Angle is the most incredible mat wrestling you'll see outside of the heyday of Kiyoshi Tamura. Right there, that line, it says all you need to hear as to why we need to talk about Kurt versus Chris. The most incredible mat wrestling you'll see. It says it right there. So Mysterio mixed in with great high flying spots, and the finish came across perfectly. Benoit lost nothing taking that pin because the match was so good, and it popped the crowd because they didn't expect it. Mysterio, who's from San Diego, got the biggest reaction of anyone on the show and was put in the main event because they figured that would happen. Well, some people figured. Vince was completely against the idea of Mysterio in the main event before the show, but not so against it when Mysterio got such a huge reaction. So, Kurt, listen, our first clip, we have that Smackdown, including the backstage segment to set it up. So we're going to check it out. Our first clip of the week. We have 5 of them, and it is from that Smackdown, September 26, 2002. Let's check it out together.
Oh, my gosh. That was so funny. What you did to Eric Bischoff.
Thanks, Kurt. It was so much fun. Seeing Rikishi's ass all up in Bischoff's
I know,
face.
the stink face.
Great.
It was beautiful. And smart, too. I mean, you set him up perfectly. Hook, line, and sinker. Boom, there it is.
Yeah, well, it was pretty great. Thanks, Kurt.
It sure was. And you know what else would be great? A rematch of me versus Chris Benoit tonight. I mean, he didn't beat me in Unforgiven.
No, you're right. He did.
His feet were on the ropes.
Right.
Which means he cheated.
Okay. So,
And cheaters never win.
but I really
Which
wanna...
means Benoit didn't beat me.
Kurt!
Well, he didn't.
Okay. Listen, could you just listen to me for a second?
Shoot.
I figured you would come in here and ask me for a rematch tonight. But, I've got a little something different in mind for the main event.
What could you possibly have in mind? What the heck is he doing here? Hey, Mysterio. Don't child labor laws state that you can't be here for more than 5 hours a day? Get it? Get it?
Yeah, I get it, Kurt.
Sure.
Okay, so get this, okay? Because tonight's main event, in the spirit of competition, is going to be Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit versus Rey Mysterio.
Oh my! Yeah!
That's right, it's going to be a triple threat match tonight.
You gotta be kidding me. Why in the heck would you want to involve Mysterio? Because this is his hometown? Because he was born here like 8 years ago? And Mysterio, this may be your big homecoming, but make no mistake about it. I'm gonna be the one to get the 1, 2, 3.
Oh yeah, Kurt? You plan on getting the 1, 2, 3?
Oh yeah.
But not if I hit you first with a 6, 1, 9.
He waited for Angle to turn his back and he pounced. And look at Kurt Angle now.
Kurt Angle ain't a happy gold medalist right now.
Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit have their own issues. This athletic competition between two awe-inspiring athletes is so intense that it has evolved into hatred. But Benoit and Angle need to keep in mind that Rey Mysterio is the third man in this matchup. They need to keep an eye on Mysterio tonight. Missile drop kick from the top rope. Mysterio is just relentless. Rey Mysterio, Kurt Angle back to his feet. Mysterio underneath Kurt Angle. Oh, look at him. Off the top rope. Onto Chris Benoit. Mysterio landed on his feet. And Kurt Angle dragging Mysterio into the barricade.
Mysterio hit that barricade real hard.
Tell you, Angle's intent on beating the hell out of Benoit tonight.
Kurt Angle's a machine. Oh, that's a low chop block. courteous of Kurt Angle.
Oh, look out. Ankle lock. Ankle lock. Locked in. The ankle lock's locked into Benoit. And Benoit makes it to the ropes.
Kurt's probably going to yank him back. Let the ref makes it bring it home.
Oh, look at this. Look out. 619. Double 619 from Mysterio to Benoit Angle. Could it be time for the West Coast pump? Oh, look out. Kurt Angle caught Mysterio. Power. Sunset flip. He's got him. He's got him. No, Angle kicked out. Wow. What incredible action you'll only see on Smackdown.
Oh, crossface.
Benoit locking a crossface in.
Benoit counted the close out to the crossface.
The crossface is locked into Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle is immobile as we speak, desperately trying to crawl toward the bottom rope.
Kurt needs to use his match sense right now. His ring position, he knows he's in a rope. Just can't quite get there.
Kurt, oh, look at this.
Roll through. Nice.
Well, Angle rolled through, but he got himself into a predicament in the middle of the ring.
Put himself further in, exactly right.
Their crossface is locked in tag.
Felt like a pit bull not letting go. Mysterio's up on the rope.
A springboard. Drop. To the throat of Benoit.
Cover Ray.
The cover by Mysterio. Hook to the leg. No. Benoit kicked out.
Oh, what another great match on SmackDown.
Rey Mysterio showing his frustration. Thought he had the matchup won. So did this crowd.
Oh, down to the angle slam.
Mysterio off the ropes. Look out. Oh, my. Mysterio lands on the second rope. Look out. Leg scissors to Benoit. Here's the cover. Mysterio got him. Mysterio got him. What an upset. What an upset.
All right, a few things. First of all, for those,
Oh, wow.
I mean, incredible. Pro wrestling is truly an art form.
It certainly is.
I mean, if you don't
know
believe
what?
it, watch that.
I have always said my best triple threat match was between me, Undertaker, and The Rock. Well, this I don't know anymore, man. Looking back at that match, this might be the best triple threat I was ever in. That match was really good.
It was phenomenal. I mean, the skill sets of all three of you guys just meshed so well together. And then Ray, who's like the cherry on the sundae, just the stuff he can do. Just
Right. He just brought all the high flying stuff
Yes.
in with the technical matches that Chris and I wrestle. And now you have a completely different match.
I mean, it goes back to what Meltzer said. I mean, it was just an unbelievable match. Excuse me. That's the first thing I wanted to say. Second thing I wanted to comment is, Kurt, when I watch you watch these matches and the big smile you get and you enjoy it, this has got to be like your favorite hour of the week, doesn't
I'm
it?
a fanboy of myself.
You are. I love it. So listen, the hometown hero Mysterio got the big win here, but I want to bring it back to what Meltzer had to say. Do you remember at all Vince being against putting Ray in that main event, here in with this match?
Yes. Vince was not very keen on a smaller guy making it to the main event. As a matter of fact, you had to have a certain amount of size on you, especially when in the 80s and 90s, you had to be like over 240. But then he kind of loosened up and started taking guys around 200, 185, 190, the Eddie Guerreros and the Chris Jerichos and the Chris Benoits. And then Ray, he wasn't folding with Ray, but somebody talked him into it and said, give him a chance. And he did it that night. And from then on, Ray was a main eventer.
He didn't look back.
Vince was wrong. I mean, Vince is hardly ever wrong, but he was wrong about this.
There you go. And he didn't move away from it after that. He realized it. And that's the thing. You got to learn. And as long as you're willing to learn from it and move on. And there we go. Now, listen, I want to talk to you about another match that same night. Guys, again, September 26, 2002. This may be a show. You want to go back on Peacock and watch this full SmackDown, because there was a second match that night that Dave Meltzer freaks out about. And this is Edge versus Eddie Guerrero in a no disqualification match. And I'm going to read to you what Dave said about that one. He said, the Edge versus Eddie Guerrero no DQ match was incredible. Without question, one of the best matches of the year. Guerrero, the heel, got a standing ovation after the match for his performance, in particular taking the DDT off nearly the top of a ladder and doing a powerbomb flipping over the ladder. He also took a backdrop into a vertical ladder and did the flip into the ring senton with Edge in the middle of a ladder sandwich. I'd say 4.5 stars for that one. So, Kurt, do you remember if there was a big reaction in the back watching this match?
Oh yeah, Edge and Eddie.
Eddie, yeah.
Yes. That match was off the charts. I mean, it was a great DQ match. A lot of gimmicks, obviously. Eddie wasn't really a gimmick guy, but Edge has been involved in a lot of gimmick matches. But
ladders.
Yeah, this match had a lot of great things in it. I mean, it was, you know what? As much as I hate to admit it, it was the match of the night. My triple threat match didn't stand with this match. It was that good. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody was like high-fiving each other and celebrating the art of pro wrestling because these guys nailed it.
It's not often that you see two matches that Meltzer really gives it up for in a big way like he has here that are on TV. Okay, these are on SmackDown. We're not talking about a pay-per-view. So there you go. Now, listen, as you watch this match, though, this incredible match, you had to be chomping at the bit to want to work with Eddie after that because it had been a couple of years since you had last, faced each other.
Yeah, Eddie and we took a pause for a little bit of time and didn't wrestle him for a while. But seeing him at this point in time, this is when he was at his best in WWE. Don't get me wrong, WCW, he had actually a better career because he was a lot healthier. This is before the car accident when he broke his leg and his hip and all that stuff. But in WWE, he was at his best in 2002.
All right, so let's transition back into you and Chris Benoit. When were you told about the idea of being in that tag team? And was this all a Paul Heyman idea?
Yes, it was. And it was right after Unforgiven 2002 when I wrestled Benoit. And Paul said, hey, we want to keep this thing going. We want you guys to, compete against each other, but tag and not get along, but get along and, continue to win the matches, but you're not getting along and you're fighting and you're bickering and just make it like a competitive thing. And I said, Paul, that's a great idea. I love that because Chris and we are competitive. We do want to outdo each other. That's why we wrestle so well together. And so that, the idea was awesome. I was excited about it.
And you're going to see, too, when we get to the fan questions a little bit later on, the listener questions, a lot of them are going to ask, why didn't this last longer? They love the tag team of you and Chris, so we'll get there. But I want to read something to you that was also announced around this time period and try to get some of your thoughts and recollection from this. During this time, it was announced that Angle will be helping promote the first Kurt Angle Classic show from November 8th to November 10th in New Orleans at the Memorial Convention Center. It will be a combination USA versus the World Invitational Wrestling Tournament, plus a pro bodybuilding competition, a powerlifting competition, an arm wrestling tournament, and a strongman contest. I believe Angle's only involved in the wrestling tournament. The connection with the bodybuilding world is that Angle's personal manager, Dave Hawk, was a former fairly big-name pro bodybuilder. The idea is to present amateur wrestling with musical ring entrances, personality profiles, and high production values. On November 8th, there will be a team of the Marine Corps and Navy versus the Army and Air Force. The rest will be battles between U.S. world-class wrestlers against top international stars, headlined by Cael Sanderson in freestyle and Gardner and Greco, Gardner's first matches since his toe was amputated after being stranded in the freezing wilderness. In freestyle, Sanderson will wrestle at 185. Tim Harding, am I pronouncing that correctly? Yep. It's who is Brock Lesnar's former college roommate, who would be considered Angle's toughest competition for an Olympic team berth if he were to come back. He'll be at 212 pounds, and then Kerry McCoy at 265. There will also be $75,000 in prize money. I guess it's an amateur pro wrestling show or a pro amateur wrestling show, or we've got to invent new terms. This is all from Meltzer. Both Lesnar and Angle will be attending the weekend activities. So, Kurt, tell us all about it. Where did the idea come from? How did it all come together?
Well, my manager and I came up with the idea. We wanted to help promote amateur wrestling and wanted to have the Kurt Angle Classic. It's basically United States best against the world's best, and they compete against each other. And we made this into like a mini Arnold Classic. If you've ever been to the Arnold Classic in Ohio, every year they have this event where there's a bunch of different sports. Well, we only had like 5 sports, so it was like a smaller version of that. But we had bodybuilding, we had powerlifting, arm wrestling, and also we had the armed forces competing against each other. And it was a great event. And we gave out prize money. Each winner would get $3,000 and the loser would get $1,000. At least if you came there and you competed, you got something. So we wanted to do this, and we wanted to continue to do it every year. But the sponsors, we just couldn't continuously get the sponsors involved.
Gotcha. Well, listen, the week after, SmackDown was in Lafayette, Louisiana, and SmackDown General Manager Stephanie McMahon announces a tournament to crown the first ever SmackDown Tag Team Champions to begin on the show, with the finals being at No Mercy. Here we go. We're setting the scene for this big tag team tournament, and we're going to cover the tournament as we go along here. But on this show, we go back to you versus Edge in a singles match, which isn't a bad thing, by the way, because you guys always had great matches together. And this is clip 2 of our show this week. It's you and Edge backstage promos. Oh, my God. They're always glorious. Can't wait. This is from SmackDown from October 3rd, 2002. Let's take a look at it.
Based on the result of the main event from last week's show, do you at all have any regrets about the offensive comments you made regarding Rey Mysterio?
Regrets. Mark Lloyd, I want you to listen to me very carefully. I'm the best wrestler in the world. And being the best means never having to say you're sorry. I didn't lose to Rey Mysterio last week. Chris Benoit did. And if I was a betting man, I'd say that Benoit loses to Mysterio again tonight. And why? Because Chris Benoit is a regular person. And regular people make mistakes. But when I'm in that ring, I'm like a Mozart symphony or a Renoir painting. I'm as close to pure perfection as you can get. And that's what I want these people to remember. Every time they think about chanting, "You suck" to me, I'm a freaking work of art. And when I go, well, if it isn't my opponent tonight, you got something to say to me? Come say it to my face.
You don't suck, Kurt, but you're not perfect. Well, these shiny gold medals say that I am. Yeah? Oh, yeah. Well, that shiny bald head of yours is proof that you're not. You know something, Edge? Ever since you shaved my head, I've been waiting for this moment for a long, long time. I think we're next. After you. Oh no, after you, I insist.
Angle sucker punched in.
Listen, I like that shiny bald head of yours, Kurt. I mean, I know what he's trying to say
you
there.
have one too.
I know. I mean, come on. We got to stick together. So the Observer has the following notes about this. Edge pinned Angle in 21 minutes of what we're told was a tremendous match. They went about 16 minutes with a ref bump and a finish where each ref raised one guy's hand. It came back with 5 hot minutes, ending with Angle when he went to hit Benoit with a chair, but the chair hit the rope and rebounded back, hitting Angle. Edge then pinned him with a spear. Backstage, Benoit was laughing at Angle, but Stephanie informed them that they are now tag team partners and had to get along. And if they didn't get along, they'd both be suspended for 1 year. Man, how awesome is it to work with Edge so much during this year? You had to be having a great time.
You know what? At this point in time, they were pushing him really hard. As a matter of fact, I probably wrestled him 7 times that year on TV or pay-per-view, and he beat me like 5 of them. So they were definitely pushing him pretty hard at this particular time.
Well, and now here it is. It's official. Stephanie makes it official. You're either going to get suspended for a year or you're tag teaming with Chris Benoit. And you've told us before on this show, you were down for this. You were looking forward to it.
This is a dream come true. A tag team partnership with Chris Benoit, a guy that I consider like my mini-me, or not my mini-me, but my copy of me.
Yeah.
So I was really excited about doing this with him.
Well, Meltzer would even say at this point, Kurt, you were the wrestler of the year. With his,
thank you, Dave.
Yeah, and you got to think about, though, this is a boom time in the wrestling industry as far as talent. We just looked at it.
Yeah, there were a lot of talent. You're absolutely right.
Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho, but he's singling you out and saying you're the man. So that's pretty cool.
I'm special.
Yeah, you are. You are such a diamond out there.
I'm actually really excited about this. This is really cool that Meltzer said this.
Yeah, he did. And so here we are later in the show. The main event saw Mysterio over Benoit. Meltzer says the match live didn't have much heat, but was said to be, again, very good. Angle would interfere, allowing Mysterio to hit the West Coast pop for the pin. Angle and Benoit went back and forth, doing a pull apart after the match, including a spot where they tore David Finlay's shirt off and Finlay chased Angle out of the ring. So the part with you're cracking up, the part with you guys ripping Finlay's shirt off when the show went off the air, was this you guys just ribbing Finlay or what?
Yeah.
Oh my.
Listen, Finn is a tough son of a bitch. You don't want to mess with him. But Chris and I were really tight with him, and we figured, hey, this is our only way we're going to get away with this. We do it on TV. So we were pulling his shirt off his body. We ripped it off his body. He was like, what the fuck? It was so funny. I mean, Fit came back. He was pissed, but I mean, what is he going to do? He, as tough as he is, Fit liked us enough that he didn't really want to do anything about it. He thought it was a pretty good rib, but he was pissed.
Especially Fit, he may be at a point in his career or life where maybe he's not so fit at that point. He's sitting there putting matches together and helping behind the scenes. Nobody wants to have their top taken off at that point.
No, not at this particular time. You're right. It wasn't like he was in wrestling shape at this time.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, man. Well, listen, also on the show, the first round of the tag team tournament has Eddie and Chavo Guerrero defeating Rikishi and Mark Henry. And in a bit of a surprise, they have Farouk and Reverend Devon defeating Billy and Chuck. So there we go. The next SmackDown on October 10th was in Phoenix, and you and Benoit defeated Billy Kidman and John Cena in the tag team tournament. There's a pairing for you. But you guys are doing the odd couple tag team stuff as Benoit throws you out of the ring when you had the ankle lock on Kidman, only for Benoit to apply the crossface on Kidman for the win. So, there's some of that tension, some of that stuff going on there, which is okay.
Well, I think, they wanted the tension to continue, but the closer we got to the finals, we started getting along and starting to work together. And then the finals, that's what we did. So I think, it was a slow progress, but we ended up getting there.
And that to me is part of the storytelling, right? Because you two just had that big match, the pay-per-view before. So we got to get you there, right? We got to get you there.
I was butthurt about losing that match.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Well, the next week it's going to be you and Benoit versus the Guerreros in the semifinal. My goodness, talk about just talent all over the place.
This match was off the charts too.
Yep. And but earlier in the show, buddy, there's a confrontation with the four of you guys, and so we're going to have that segment here in our third clip of the week. This is from SmackDown, October 10th, 2002. Let's take a look.
Ese vato, watch it, Holmes. Ese, did you see ese? What me and Chavito did to Rakishi's, ese fat ese. We just took him out, boom, man. Like that. Simón, vato. Ese, am I feeling something, Holmes? What's wrong, bro? Did you just get in trouble with the principal, man?
Hey, I don't know what the hell is up with that Stephanie, okay? But I will be damned if I'm gonna sit at home another year because of that Olympic ego, Kurt Angle.
Hey, Eddie, did you hear?
I hear you, Holmes.
I think Kurt Angle's taking a year off or something.
What?
Yeah,
What?
I
said, that's right, Holmes.
Whoa. Wait. Ese vato. There's a rumor, man. I don't know if you know this, but there's a rumor going around the dressing room that Kurt wants to take some time off, to train for the Olympics. I don't know what for, what's he gonna do, man? Go get the gold medal in figure skating? That's it. No, man. Pero watchate, vato. If I was you, I'd be very careful. I mean, if Kurt's gonna go down, looks like he wants to take you down with him. I don't know, man. Yeah.
Thanks, Steph. All right, I'll talk to you later.
Hey, what's up, Home Slice? Word up, my Chicana friend. Was it something I said? Wait a minute. Are you guys talking about me? Listen, Benoit.
We may not be able to fight during our matches, but if you don't tell me what you guys were talking about, I'll beat it out of you.
Yeah. You beat it out of me.
All right, so they're talking about you and taking a year off for the Olympics and all that stuff. Is this just them adding it to storyline, or is there some truth to this as far as were you still considering this at this point in 2002?
Yes, I was. I was training 3 days a week at this particular time. And what changed it was a few months later, I broke my neck in early 2003. And that's when it ended. I couldn't train for the Olympics anymore. So the broken neck in early 2003 is the reason why I didn't continue on to train for the Olympics.
So this is an example where they take something that's the reality, something really happening, and then weave it into the creative of what's going on.
Yeah, it was really
here.
clever.
Okay.
Did a great job with that.
So let's get back to the tag tournament here, and it's Edge and Rey Mysterio defeating the super random team. Here we go. Brock Lesnar and Tajiri, they're partners, Kurt. It feels like they're really, really just throwing some randos together now to get 8 teams in this tournament. I mean, is that kind of what you guys were thinking as it was going on here?
No, listen, the reason they did this, you have to realize if you're going to put Brock Lesnar in a tag team tournament and you don't want him to win, you're going to have someone there that does a job for him. You have to protect Brock. And not that Tajiri was a jobber. He wasn't by any means. He was a great wrestler, had a great career. But at least you know that you had someone there to protect Brock so he wouldn't have to take the fall. Now, if Brock and Undertaker tagged together, okay. But that would have been such a domination. They would have definitely won the tag team titles. So they had to strategically plan out to protect people and not, and other people would do jobs for them. And so that's why they did what they did.
So it was more of like, hey, we got to balance Brock out a bit here.
Yes,
you can't have two badasses.
Brock's not going to win the tag team title tournament, so we have to have somebody do a job on his team.
Yeah, and to your point, Tajiri definitely wasn't a jobber. I love Tajiri. I love ECW Tajiri. The guy was a buzzsaw, but it makes sense to have that guy. Hey, you're just going to be the one that has to take the fall because it isn't going to be the Beast incarnate. So there you go. Yeah. Well, the go-home SmackDown for No Mercy was in Toronto, Canada. Big time hot crowd up there. It's the semifinals of the tag team tournament. And to begin things, you have Mysterio and Edge defeating Farouk and Devon. So they'll be facing the winner of you and Benoit versus the Guerreros at No Mercy. And Dave had this to say. He said, Angle and Benoit beat Chavo and Eddie in 12 minutes when Angle pinned Chavo after the Angle slam. Benoit got a chair and teased hitting Angle with it, but instead hit Chavo. A super match and one of the best WWE tag matches of the year. Man, Dave's really throwing some superlatives around on this build-up here. He loves what's going on here. Edge and Mysterio attacked the Guerreros before the match. Angle and Benoit then attacked Edge and Mysterio. We have our clip 4 of the week. It's you and Benoit versus the Guerreros from this SmackDown. Guys, it sounds like there's so much gold in this build-up. If you want to go back and check it out, this is October 17th, 2002 edition of SmackDown. Here we go. Let's take a look.
This could be the turning point in the matchup. Here comes Eddie. Here comes Angle. Incredible. Knocking the Guerreros down. Kurt to the blaze. Kurt to the blaze. Angle's the fresh man. Back body drop to Eddie. German. German goes for the ride. German. And Eddie Guerrero cutting Kurt Angle down. But Angle off the reversal. Goodbye. What a throw. Chavo saves the matchup.
Chavo saving his uncle. Great tag team work by the Guerreros.
And now Chavo, look out. Angle misses right hand. Chavo kick on the butt. Beautiful. And now Benoit on the attack.
This Benoit don't need much time to regroup. That's conditioning for you.
German suplex to Chavo.
Well, we're in Canada. Call it to the hat trick. Well, maybe not.
Eddie Guerrero now from behind. And a German suplex to Guerrero. Benoit is a machine.
And Grant Colonel Chris Benoit from behind. He'll switch it for you. Headbutt time. Here we go. Here we go.
Flying headbutt to Eddie Guerrero.
What effect, though. Chris Benoit with that neck injury and those weird chin locks, and the Guerrero's working on him.
Can Kurt Angle capitalize? The cover, and Chavo again saves the matchup for the Guerreros. Both of these teams want to get to No Mercy for a shot at the tag titles.
Both men leaving, both teams leaving it all in the ring.
A brain buster to Angle.
And in the ring, too.
Eddie Guerrero slowly into
same way. Only on SmackDown.
Kurt Angle's in trouble, and Latino, he could be ready to fly.
Rocky time in Toronto. Look at Angle. Look at Angle.
Wow! Eddie Guerrero, the frog splash connects. The Guerreros are going to no mercy, and Benoit throws it for his team. Crossface, crossface, crossface locked in. And Chavo with a blow to the back of the head of Chris Benoit.
The third time Chavo making a save for Eddie.
These teams want a chance to go tag team titles so bad.
Right in front of us, Chavo.
Oh, look at that. The referee knocked down.
Everybody.
Benoit knocked down. Angle's down.
Everybody's down. I'm going to throw myself on the floor. Oh, look at this.
We saw this video last week.
Alonso from El Paso. That's what Eddie Guerrero calls it. That leg submission.
He's got it locked in. There's no referee. Kurt Angle tap. And look at Angle.
What a switch. Ankle pick into the ankle lock.
What a reversal by Kurt Angle. The ankle lock is locked in. The ankle lock locked in. Guerrero desperately crawling to the
I
ropes.
want to do no mat work with Kurt Angle, man.
Guerrero's tapping. Guerrero's tapping.
No ref. No ref.
Chavo's got a chair.
Look at Chris Benoit.
Benoit, steel chair in hand.
Guerrero's doing the ankle lock of Benoit.
What is this all about?
Oh, man.
Kurt, look out.
Benoit's going to get suspended.
If he hits the ankle, he's going to be suspended.
That's what I'm saying.
Benoit clocked Chavo.
Oh, my God, what a shot.
A chair to Eddie Guerrero.
Angle slam.
An angle slam to Eddie Guerrero. Referee was knocked down.
Benoit
Shot back into the ring.
1, 2.
Angle and Benoit are going to no mercy.
Here are your winners, Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle. And Cole, it just goes to show you how important this tag team division, this tag team gold is on SmackDown.
It's Edge and Rey Mysterio versus Benoit and Angle.
Dude, another hell of a match, man.
Just keep lining them up, knocking them down.
I tell you what, I got to give a shout out to my man, Mike Chioda, and a plug. If you're not on ad-free shows, you need to go to adfreeshows.com. I have the pleasure and the opportunity to host a show with him, the Monday Mailbag with Mike Chioda. That guy's going to tell you stories you ain't never heard anywhere else, and he's entertaining as hell.
There's a lot of stories.
Oh, my goodness. He was one of the highlights of Top Guy Weekend, but he's in the ring. He's getting knocked out of the ring. You guys, my goodness, just tore it down. This is such a fun stretch of wrestling here, this SmackDowns that we've checked out this week, dude.
Yeah, it has been a lot of fun, especially all these tag matches. You know what's crazy? Most of us weren't even tag team partners.
Yeah, but you
just put
gelled
together
so
like
well.
that, and we're having all this great chemistry.
And now you got Chavo in the mix, and you're really, I think what we're seeing here is the establishment of what's known as the Smackdown Six. You got you, Benoit, Edge, Mysterio, Eddie, Chavo, essentially just tearing the house down whenever you guys were working with each other during that period of time.
Yeah, we were the Smackdown Six, and you know what? SmackDown became the wrestling show. You know, Raw was more of a storyline-driven show, but on SmackDown, it was all about action. We had some storylines, but for the most part, it was strictly wrestling.
And you guys had Paul Heyman. We've talked about it before on the show. He's writing for SmackDown at this point. Is he just actively working with you guys behind the scenes, putting all this together for SmackDown TV shows?
Yes, he was. He was working behind the scenes with all of us, telling us what to do, how to do it. He was brilliant. I mean, what he was able to do for SmackDown at this particular time was incredible.
Yeah, his creative genius, not only, like I said, from the beginning and his influence in wrestling all the way through ECW, what he's done now with WWE, I think people now can really appreciate what he's done for the wrestling business. And
they should appreciate it.
Yeah.
He has given a lot to pro wrestling.
And we get to relive it here with these podcasts and get to see just how good it truly was and realize, hey, he was the brainchild for a lot of this stuff. So
yeah, absolutely.
And by the way, at this time, WWE business is way down, guys, not just from a year prior, but from months prior. Do you think that this was the result of the brand extension, Kurt?
I don't know. I think it was because wrestling goes in cycles.
Okay.
It's hot, then it's not so hot, then it gets cold, then it starts becoming hotter again, then it gets hot again. It could be the brand extension. For example, you're going to have Eddie Guerrero on one show. The other show is going to suffer because it won't have Eddie Guerrero. Or you're going to have Kurt Angle on show, and the other show won't have Kurt Angle. I don't know if that really helped or hurt. I'm not sure, but it could have.
I mean, you said it. When you only have Kurt Angle on one show, that's going to hurt. I'm so glad you used yourself.
I didn't put myself first. I said
I know you did. Hey, but listen, you talked about it when we were talking last week about TNA, and when you were out and things like that, your paycheck never changed thanks to Dixie. But when you start to go through these period of times, WWE, I'm sure, is a little different. Were you feeling it in your paychecks at the time when they were struggling a little bit here?
To some extent. I mean, It wasn't major. It was a little bit of a, a little bit less than what we were getting usually. But, we remember I started in the business when it was red hot.
That's true.
So the pay was just incredible. And yeah, eventually it did go downhill and we started making less money, but it wasn't that significant.
And it would rebound. Like you said, wrestling goes in cycles. It's also reported during this time, Kurt, that at that time the talk was for you and Benoit taking on Lesnar at WrestleMania, the main event next year. Were you being told that? And did you think it would be you and Brock at this point?
I knew it was going to be me and Brock. And the reason I knew that is because Paul Heyman was working on that from the beginning, from when Brock started on TV. Brock only started like 6 months prior to when he main evented WrestleMania. And I knew they were going to push this kid hard. And he was a collegiate wrestler. I was a collegiate wrestler. Paul Heyman thought this was a huge dream match. He wanted to build this up and make sure it happened at WrestleMania 19, and it did.
Oh, by the way, Kurt, back around this time, too, there was talk about putting Brock Lesnar against boxing champion Lennox Lewis.
I heard, yes.
Yeah. What do you think? If you were, they were talking about you versus a Lennox Lewis, could you have been convinced to lose to a non-wrestler back then?
Non-wrestler, I don't know, but
depends on the payday.
Money, yes, money. The money counts. You're right. If definitely for the money. But I will tell you this. There's no shame in losing to Lennox Lewis, who was one of the greatest boxers of all time. So I don't think Brock would have done it. I don't think he should have done it. But someone like me, I think I could have gotten away with it. It wouldn't have hurt me.
Not enough zeros, enough decimal points, enough commas.
Yes. The money definitely counts.
There you go.
They willing to pay me. I'm willing to do the job.
I love it. So listen, now we're going to have you and Benoit versus Mysterio and Edge at No Mercy to determine the first ever WWE Smackdown Tag Champions. No Mercy's in Little Rock, Arkansas on October 20th. And I'm going to read the Observer report first here. He said, while the advance was poor, there was enough papering, particularly in the $200 section, to where the building looked fine on television. Reports were there were close to 10,000 in the Alltel Arena. Probably not much more than 5,500 were paid, but those who were there made for a pretty lively crowd, which, man, that's important. The number of responses we got to the show was way down from last month, which looked to be the lowest buy rate for a WWE pay-per-view show in 5 years. A decline, particularly since it was a fairly significant one, indicates more bad news. It was a two-match show, with Angle and Benoit versus Edge and Rey Mysterio being match of the year quality. There we go. And the Lesnar versus Undertaker Hell in a Cell match being a real violent bloodbath. Ultimately, Undertaker did go down with the F5 in Lesnar's best career match on October 20th in Little Rock at the No Mercy pay-per-view. So, Kurt, before we get into your match on the show, let's talk about some of the other matches on the show. In the first match, you had Jericho and Christian were wrestling Booker T and Goldust when the middle rope completely snaps when Jericho attempts his trademark lion salt. Luckily, he was completely fine and not injured from it. But that could have been nasty. It's scary watching it back when things like that happen, right?
Oh, yeah, it's dangerous. The thing is, you never know when it's going to happen. That's why pro wrestling is so dangerous. That rope snaps, you flip over and you land on your head, you break your neck. I mean, it's that dangerous. So you don't know when it's going to happen. And at this point in time, once it did it that night, nobody knew if it was going to do it again. Everybody was pretty nervous about it.
And it's one of those things, too. I was talking to a Dr. Tom Pritchard on a show for ad-free shows, and he was saying, Paul, you think the simplest things are just so simple, but they're not. When you think about running the ropes, he teaches people to go in on the side, not straight back against the rope, because what if that rope snapped? You know
what? Most wrestlers hit it with their back the wrong way. But Tom always teaches, keep your feet under you. Don't lean on the rope.
Yeah.
Make sure that your weight is on your feet instead of the rope when you hit it. Hitting the rope is actually a trick. You're not supposed to use it to sling off. You're supposed to pretend to sling off of it, but wrestlers do it because it gives them momentum.
The devil's in the details, man, and I love hearing some of that interesting tidbits and notes as far as just, we watch it all the time and think we have it figured out as fans. But no, man, there's really detail in it.
I don't even have it figured out.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's keep going here. Lesnar, we talked about it, defeated Taker in a Hell in a Cell match, as we mentioned. Do you remember this probably being his best match as far as in his career at this point? Obviously, he hadn't wrestled you yet.
It was, and technically it wasn't, from a technical standpoint, but from a Hell in a Cell standpoint, wrestling Undertaker in Hell in a Cell, this was his biggest match, his best match. Yeah, had his best performance, but obviously he didn't wrestle me yet. But you know what? Undertaker is a trooper, and everybody will say they have some of their best matches with Undertaker. So I wasn't surprised Brock had that great of a match, and this was early in his career too.
It's just another step in the ascension of Brock Lesnar, this match here. They also unified Kane's Intercontinental title with Triple H's world title, and this retired the IC title after 23 years of existence. This was temporary. It was brought back 7 months later. But what did you think about this decision, Kurt, for this period of time to retire the Intercontinental title?
Wrong decision. You don't retire something that wrestlers use as a stepping stone to get to the main event.
Right.
Like, what are the undercard, mid-card wrestlers going to wrestle for? If they're not in the main event yet, they're not going to be wrestling for the world title. They have to wrestle for something. And that's why the European Championship, the Intercontinental Championship, the U.S. Championship, they're all stepping stones for wrestlers to make it to the main event level. It gives them something to work for while they're on the undercard, mid-card wrestlers. So I completely disagreed with that. That was wrong.
And honestly, that's one thing. So just recently, Seth Rollins won the United States Championship from Bobby Lashley. But you can already tell that with Triple H in charge of creative and running the show, he is going to want to give some real thought and push behind what they consider the mid-card titles, like Intercontinental and U.S., and really bring the credibility back to those championships. So I'm excited to see what's
doing it, having Lashley win it, having Seth Rollins
carrying
awesome.
it now. Yeah. So Seth's going to be one of those guys that I think is going to obviously elevate that title. And I'm hoping for some classic U.S. championship matches now. So with that change, with that decision, though, this meant they only had 2 world titles on each brand as the only singles titles, and essentially nothing for mid-card singles wrestlers to fight over, to your point. So it's a different time back then. There's something else, though, that I want your opinion on. Katie Vick, okay? So before No Mercy, they set up a ridiculously stupid storyline with Kane and Triple H, and that Kane's girlfriend had died in a car accident 10 years later, but Triple H claims Kane murdered her and had sex with her dead body. Then the night after No Mercy, I got to know, what the hell did you think when you saw or heard about Triple H dressed up as Kane humping a corpse on worldwide television as they pretended it was a dead girlfriend of Kane? Come on, Kurt.
Well, you know what? I wasn't surprised. It was the tail end of the Attitude Era. They always took chances. This was another chance that WWE took. Obviously, Vince McMahon was keen on this. He wanted to do it. And I thought it was outlandish. I thought it was the craziest thing they ever did. Triple H humping a cadaver was just horrible.
That'll go down on infamy, okay? That whole storyline in infamy. Let's get away from that subject and let's talk about the tag tourney final. So they did a skit where Benoit told Eddie Guerrero that Kurt Angle was in a room beating up Chavo. Eddie thought it was a swerve. You could hear Chavo crying for help while Eddie said it wasn't Chavo's voice, but a girl's voice. The door came open and Chavo was beaten up and Angle came out of the room. You had to enjoy doing this type of stuff, dude.
Yeah, it was fun, especially with the Guerreros and Benoit. This was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Oh, man, fun stuff. So we're on to the match here. It's the 6th match on the card. Kurt Angle, and this is all from Dave, and Chris Benoit became the first WWE Tag Team Champions over Rey Mysterio and Edge in 22 minutes and 3 seconds. Man, another big-time first for Kurt Angle, buddy. No wonder you've had such a storied career. The match was off the charts. That's quotes from Dave. I've said that like 3 or 4 times this week. Your head, if it gets any bigger, those headphones are going to pop off.
I know. It's getting bigger, too.
Benoit used 3 German suplexes on Edge. He went up to the top for the headbutt, but Edge instead used the top rope superplex, and that's going to be our final clip. We're going to watch some of this. Mysterio did a leg drop off the top on Benoit for a near fall and save. Benoit used the crossface on Mysterio, but Edge saved. Mysterio went for a 619, but Benoit got up and caught him, and while holding him, Edge came off the top with a missile dropkick to Mysterio's back, causing Benoit to collapse for a near fall. Angle gave Mysterio a belly-to-belly superplex, and Benoit got a near pin. Edge then hot tagged in and did a spot where he tossed a running Mysterio into the air, where he then did a Hurricane Rana off the top on the Angle. Man, this sounds fantastic. Benoit went for a diving headbutt on Mysterio, who moved and hit Angle instead for a great near fall. Benoit did a crossface on Edge Forever right by the ropes when Mysterio hit the 619 to break it up. Angle slam on Mysterio off that move. Angle then used the ankle lock on Edge, who caught him in a tight, small package for a great near fall. Man, Meltzer's just in love with this. Edge threw Mysterio over the top where he did a moonsault block on Benoit. In the ring, Angle got Edge in the ankle lock. Edge reversed it, but Angle then reversed it back and got the submission. Match of the year candidate was Dave's final comments. He gave it 4 3/4 stars, only a quarter star away from 5 stars.
Oh, man.
Dude, in his ranking system now, he would have given you 5, 6, or 7. I think he was tougher back then.
I didn't even know there was a 6 and 7.
Oh, he makes them up now. And if you're in Tokyo, in the Tokyo Dome,
I know.
You can get 10. I mean, it's insane. So here we go. Clip 5, our final clip of the week. This is the finals. It's No Mercy. Let's check it out.
Mysterio, look at the desperation. You can see it again on the face of Edge as Mysterio looks to come to the corner.
Angle's got some desperation. All right, shows how important these titles
The
are.
tag made to Kurt and Edge. No! And here comes Edge. The clothesline to Angle. The elbow to Benoit. Angle going for the ride.
Big backdrop. Faceplate coming. Bam!
Edge building the momentum. Oh, here's the cover. We can crown new talent. Benoit broke up the 3 count. This is all about the WWE Tag Team Titles, a new title for Smackdown.
No, it doesn't even matter who wins this thing. Both teams look great.
Oh, shot. Well, to these two teams, it matters.
I know, because this is awesome. Here comes Mysterio with something sick.
Wow!
To Buster.
The Buster to Benoit. And now Kurt Angle.
Angle's on Dream Street.
Whipped into the corner. And a shoulder to the gut of Angle.
Modified spear while Angle's trapped in the corner.
He was trapped. Now he's on the top rope. What's Edge doing? The hell is this? Oh, no.
Oh, man, look at this.
Hurricane Rana. Whoa! And being launched by Edge.
Let's get a cover. We're going to get it. Edge and Edge of Mysterio.
Look at Benoit. Benoit. Headbutt to Angle. Edge rolled out of the way.
Benoit and his own partner. Let's not forget the injured neck of Chris Benoit.
Benoit knocked out of the ring by Mysterio. Edge into the cover. Edge hooks the leg. New champions. No! Listen to this crowd as we take one more look at Mysterio.
Check this out. Check it out. Look at that. Oh, what a hoop around. Unbelievable. Well, it is believable. I shouldn't say unbelievable, because that was believable. What?
Listen to this crowd in Little Rock.
People think that it should have been over, but it don't matter. Oh! You're upset too.
These Smackdown fans on the edge of their seat at every pin, at every near fall, at every cover by both of these teams. And look at Angle stalking Edge.
Kurt's ready to fire. Oh, wow, boot right in the face.
Mysterio launched by Edge again. I don't know if Angle knows where he is. And Edge setting Angle up.
Oh, spear time. Spear time. But Benoit's behind him.
Oh, from behind. Crossface. Crossface. The crossface. Not quite locked in. Benoit and then scrambling forward for the ropes.
Look at the desperation of both men's faces. Edge needs to get out of this. Get a rope.
Benoit as Edge makes it to the ropes. And Benoit, look at pushing the rope away. Look out. 619 to Benoit. Edge had the wherewithal to duck. Mysterio hit Benoit.
Early angle slam.
The angle slam to Mysterio.
Traps it down. It's all over but the shouting, as they say.
The ankle lock.
Oh, man.
And Edge.
Nice counter.
Edge reversed it.
One package. One.
He's got it. He's got it. Down. Angle kicked out.
Wow, man.
Oh, my. What a metal spear. Cover. He got it. And Benoit saves the match. Mysterio, baseball think Kurt Angle has any idea where he is.
Kurt Angle's hurting. Look at this.
What is this?
He's using Mysterio as a catapult. Oh, moonsault.
That was a unique moonsault.
That was sick, man.
And look at this. Edge going for the execution.
Lock trip. Switch on.
To the ankle lock. Will Edge tap out? The intensity in the eyes of Kurt Angle.
The great amateur background of Angle just benefited from it. This is it, man. Edge going to add counter.
Look at Edge. Edge counters. And Edge with an ankle. He's going for the ankle lock.
He's got it too.
Edge with an ankle lock of his own.
Edge just got his Angle's own move on Angle.
Will Angle tap to his own finishing hold?
Oh,
Look at this. Ankle lock again. What a counter by Angle.
You can't out wrestle Kurt Angle.
Will Edge tap out to the ankle lock? He's gonna break Edge tap out. Man.
Here are your winners and the first ever WWE Tag Team Champions, Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit.
I don't know about you, but I'm gonna stand up and give these two teams a standing ovation.
No doubt about it, was awesome. A great match for all four men. New WWE Tag Team Champions. Right there, Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit. No shame for Edge. He had no choice but to tap. A great outing for Rey Mysterio and Edge. Phenomenal match.
There it is, Kurt. What an incredible match.
It was pretty good.
Listen, you're the first ever SmackDown Tag Team Champs. By the way, this match was voted Match of the Year by readers of both the Wrestling Observer and Pro Wrestling Torch. Match of the Year.
That's pretty awesome, man. That means a lot to me. It really does.
That is incredible. That's just another more and more accolades. I think if you talk about how many times you won this championship and that championship, but when you start thinking about matches of the year and, all that good stuff, it's such a
I always wondered where I stood on the greatest of all time, and not having longer than a 7-year career in WWE, I felt like I didn't work long enough to have that kind of prestige. But seeing the matches I had consistently made me very proud of who I am.
You should be. You should be. So let's go to some fan questions, Kurt, as we wrap up this week's episode. Man, what a fun show it's been. John said, did Kurt worry about the rope snapping again as they did in the first tag match with Jericho Christian? Did it make you nervous for it to happen again, or are you confident that the team got it corrected?
Well, you don't know if the team got it correctly. I mean, once those ropes snap, they do a quick job to try to fix it, and you don't know if it's going to happen again. And like I said before, you never know when it's going to happen. Those things happen quite frequently, not every night, but once every 3 months, a rope's going to break. You have to remember that's 4 times a year. So somebody's going to go over those top ropes and land on their head of it, possibly.
That's right.
There's a chance that somebody could get seriously injured because of that. And that's something I think the company needs to address and make sure that these ropes don't ever snap again.
Yeah. Well, Bryant Haremza's up next. He says, Kurt, you're teaming with Benoit and yet feuding with him at the same time. What kind of strategy and character work goes into trying to be a team, yet also trying to play that fringe, maintain that feud with your partner at the same time? How do you guys how do you work with that and handle that?
You know what? It was pretty easy with Benoit because we actually did compete against each other. We were always trying to outdo each other. In our matches, they were so intense. We were always trying to blow each other up, not intentionally, but we wanted to see what each other had. And so we had that natural competitiveness inside of us. So we just carried that over to the pre-tapes and the promos and everything else we did.
Iron sharpens iron, baby.
You're right. Yeah.
Yep. Yambag Jones is up next. Good friend of the show. He said, who was Kurt's favorite tag partner to have? Do you have a favorite tag partner? Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody is as good as him. I never had the chemistry with anybody else as I did with Chris.
There you go. Hazard F5. Love Hazard F5, and check out his YouTube channel. Lots of awesome belt reviews over there. He says, Kurt, the No Mercy match is legit my favorite tag team match ever. While I love the feud, I felt a bit bad for Edge at the time, as I thought he was on the verge of breaking out and winning a world title, especially after his feud with you that spring and shaving you bald. Are you surprised it took Edge as long as it did to win the big one nearly 3.5 years later, minus the year he was out with the neck surgery?
Yes, I was, because Edge, they were pushing him hard in 2002. and I thought he was going to win the world title. But remember, a young superstar came in and named Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
That probably messed up the plans. So I'm sure they were going to push Edge. And when Brock Lesnar came on the scene, they wanted to take care of him first. And that's why him and I wrestled that following year at WrestleMania, where I handed the world championship over to Brock Lesnar. So I think they had to put Edge on hold for a couple years and, get Brock Lesnar moving. So I think that's the reason why that happened, because there was no other reason why Edge should not have won the world title that year.
Very good. Well, listen, Kurt, this was a fun episode, but next week, these episodes tend to be some of my favorite because they can get really entertaining based on fan questions. It's Ask Kurt Anything. And
shit.
And by anything, I'm encouraging you to ask him anything.
No, don't do that to me.
Yeah, buddy. We're going to have a good time.
Kidding.
Oh, I know.
Ask me anything.
We're going to have a good time. So listen, head over to our social media pages and throw some questions. I want to review those with you. Twitter handle @RealKurtAngle. That's where he's at. You can also find him on the show @TheAnglePod as well. And you can find us both on the Instagram if you want to follow either of us. You got @TheRealKurtAngle on Instagram. That's where I saw him doing his Steeler promo this week. I'm @Paulie with a Y Bewell, BWELL. You can follow me over there. The show handle, as I said, is @TheAnglePod. But also, if you want to watch this on YouTube, which I'm telling you is a lot of fun, especially if you just want to watch Kurt's reactions to some of this stuff, you can like, subscribe, and turn on notifications at youtube.com/TheAnglePod. But man, I can't wait for that. The other thing I want to plug here before we get into Physically Fit, Kurt, you're up next, so start getting them chicken snacks, is adfreeshows.com. You can go over to adfreeshows.com right now. Conrad recently spoke with Bill Apter for an Insider series. That was fantastic. We also had the WCW World title that was highlighted on Title Chase with Dave Milliken, who is a renowned belt guy. I watched that the night it came out. Really nice job there. Eric Bischoff spoke with Raven after a recent 83 Weeks episode covering their past, and boy, that was fun. Tony Schiavone had a live Q&A. Jake Roberts is going to watch Halloween Havoc. They take your questions if you're a top guy all over at adfreeshows.com. And remember, you get all the shows early, ad-free for as low as $9 a month. But Kurt, now it's your turn, and I know you love to eat them chicken snacks. And buddy, they are good. I had someone else reach out to me, James Sorensen, an avid listener to the show, and he bought all kinds of chicken snacks, every flavor. So tell the rest of the audience where they can get it. Yeah.
Here they are, chicken snacks and Snack Smart Crispy Protein Bites. One's chicken protein, one's organic plant protein. They're high protein, low carbohydrate. You can go to physicallyfit.com to order yours. There are 11 different flavors. Use the code AnglePod and you'll get 20% off of your first order. And if you go online and become a lifetime member, you'll get 20% off forever. Physicallyfit.com, that's where you get these. These are awesome. You're going to absolutely love them.
And last,
very healthy.
They are healthy, and you've seen Kurt recently. He's shredded, and it's thanks to those chicken snacks. But last and certainly not least, we need to talk about KurtAngleBrand.com. And if you want a milk carton, if you want a cowboy hat, if you want a cameo video from your Olympic hero, this is the place to go. Every time I'm with Kurt, I'm sure when I see him at the Steeler game this week, he's going to be doing a cameo video. So make sure you check out that website, right, Kurt?
Yes, there are even birthday cards. If you have a special someone that's going to have a birthday coming up, I'll send them a birthday card inscribed by me. So go to KurtAngleBrand.com and order whatever is on the website, and I'll send it to you right away.
There you go. Well, Kurt, like I said, I'm looking forward to next week. It's Ask Kurt Anything. On behalf of your Olympic gold medalist, Kurt Angle, this is Paul Bromwell. The guy's getting dinged like crazy. He's in high demand. We're going to have fun at Acrisure. We're going to be waving those terrible towels this weekend.
I don't have it, but I will this Sunday.
He will. We're going to have a blast, and we hope you enjoy your cheering for your favorite NFL team. Until next week, he's the Olympic gold medalist, Kurt Angle. I'm Paul Bromwell, and we'll see you right back here on The Kurt Angle Show.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.